You got YouTube on standby?
YouTube's on standby. Facebook is live.
2 minutes. Live in 1. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Mic check.
Yeah. All right. Show 3 coming up.
Standby for open. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yep. All right. We're live. You don't got our guest off. He didn't come out of the green room. All right, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to, we had some technical difficulties. It's kind of funny, but welcome to In the Zone. We are live in the XP Midwest studios. The show is brought to you by XP Metal Detectors, leading the world in innovation. Looking to get your hands on a Deus or an ORX? Check out Digger's Den at dddetectors.com. Get 6 months to pay with no interest by using PayPal's Digger's Den, where they don't just offer treasure, they offer adventure. All right, here's my co-host, RC Dunn. RC, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Good, man. Been a week back under the belt, a week back at work, so kind of getting back in the swing of things. It's kind of nice having a job again, you know?
Yeah, we got a great show for everybody tonight. Oh, it's just 2 amazing segments. Let's run the gamut for us.
Well, we know it's a known fact that if you want to find good treasure, you got to do some research, right? Well, tonight we were joined by the president and the director of Historical Aerials, Brett Perry and Jeff Teasley. Later in the show, we'll introduce you to Dann Allen. He's an entrepreneur who has managed to save and restore 7 historical properties from being demolished. And he's also found some supernatural ghosts in the process. So we'll be right back after these messages, and we'll get into the first episode.
Hi, I'm Cameron Macer from XP Team USA. I wanted to drop in to tell you about our new store. Go to www.xpteamusastore.com. Here you will find our official team hats, t-shirts, both long and short sleeved, hoodies, jackets, and even shorts. Lots of good stuff here, folks. Proceeds from the store will help us continue to give away great prizes from our many contests, and we thank you for your support. Now back to the zone with RC Dunn and Dave D.
All right, we're back. So our first guests, we contacted them last week, and they were pretty excited. You know, we always try to think outside the box, and these 2 guys had some amazing facts and some stories. Now, most of the people out there that are metal detected know historicalaerials.com. Either you have a subscription or use their free service, but you know, when you're not out there swinging the coil, you're looking for some places to swing the coil because you want to go to places that haven't been hunted out. So our next guests are the founder, president, and the director who does all the scanning in and getting the stuff for Historical Aerials. So let's bring them in now. We've got Brett Perry and Jeff Teasley. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Hey, looking good, looking good. Thanks for coming on, guys.
So, Brett, talk about how historicalaerials.com came to be.
Sure. You know, it's interesting. After talking with you 2 gentlemen, I didn't realize that, you know, the parallels of the research really is for the metal detector community is the same as our original core business. You know, we started out as a niche-oriented title company, which was focused on doing environmental title research. And our focus was, searching historical owners and leaseholders and environmental encumbrances that are in title records, often going back into the 30s and the 40s. And in the late 1990s, really, we evolved into an internet company by accident because we had a need for immediate access for our in-house staff and our title abstractors to get property information. But what we didn't realize after we published this onto the internet is how important this was to all kinds of industries, including the metal detector community, because you can go on net or online and find out who the owner of a given parcel is that you want to do some metal detecting on. So that was interesting after talking to you guys to see that parallel. And the creation of historicaerials.com actually came out of another in-house need. So when we go and we search for title records going back in time, a lot of times the land descriptions are completely different. So you have something that's developed, it's been platted, but way back when, we may have to find some old creek bed or roads that no longer exist. Or sometimes there's those meets and bounds descriptions just describe some big oak tree. So historic aerials, the idea was sort of give us a window to the past in order so we could actually go and see what they were doing that and see if it matches our current day property lines. Now, when we put that on the internet, I realized, hey, that's be great for our environmental community because, they could be able to identify landfills or dry cleaners or gas stations. And I thought, well, not only that, but they would be able to locate these tanks on a gas station and then take their GPS device and say, hey, drill here and sample. Well, now I realize the metal detector guys can do the exact same thing. So you guys identify your areas of interest and go out there with your GPS devices and say, hey, this is where we need to detect. This is a good spot. So that's how it all started.
Now, Jeff, as the director of historical aerials, how many images do you guys ingest in any given day or week? It's got to be what you told me is amazing.
It's around 5,000 or 6,000 a week images that are added. And that's heads and shoulders above, where we started years ago. We used to maybe get 1,000 in a couple months. And now to be able to do 5,000 or 6,000 a week it's pretty insane, but there's so much imagery out there. We could be doing this forever just to get everything that we can get our hands on. It's hard to even fathom the amount of data that's out there.
And you guys don't just stick with municipalities providing it. You've gone into private collections to get historical data also, right?
We've purchased some private collections or acquired them, depending, if people are looking to dump them, we'll take them. We just got to figure out how to get them scanned and get them on the website. And that's a process. It's a pretty intense one.
Well, let's take a look at the website. What do you say?
Sure.
Sounds good.
And not to nitpick, but it's historic aerials.
Oh,
I don't want anyone to end up on the wrong site.
I'm sorry. Yes, historicaerials.com. All right, so this is a place that's near and dear to myself and Lynn Quellen's heart. Now, this is Enterprise, Iowa, where we've done some video features on it. If you've gone to our YouTube page, now just kind of walk us through what we're looking at, and then I'll kind of show how I use the site. But go ahead and explain what we're seeing on both right and left.
So on the left side, it looks like you have a topo map up of 1907. And on the right, a aerial photograph from 2015. And that little slider bar there, as you move it back and forth, you'll notice it will move with you. So you kind of have that ability to have some instant gratification on what's the difference between then and now. And you can do that with an image or a map. So you could compare an older photo with that as well if you wanted to.
And so before we get into some more features, this is how we discovered Enterprise. If you notice, you'll see this patch of land right here, and then it turns into a city. So here's the railroad, here's the town of Enterprise, and we can match that up with the railroad and what was Enterprise. Now, the other cool thing that we look for, like I showed you guys, is here's a school, Randolph School. We know on the map, or on the topo map, that's where the school was. And we know now it's farmland. Now, Brett, what were you showing me earlier about some of the other features that we can use using this system?
Well, you have one of the compare tools up, which is our slide tool.
Right.
Now, the other one we have that is, we call it the flashlight or the spotlight tool. And it's just another way to look at the site. It's one of those things that's kind of addictive. When I get that tool out, I tend to go all over the place, kind of a real good little time waster. But it does provide some good insight. So you can now flip to any other years by clicking on other tabs. You can compare it with not just maps to aerials, but aerials to another aerial. Right, there you go.
So now I'm comparing 1955 to 2010.
Right. And what's great about it is, you'll notice that the aerials are all at the exact same scale in georeference. So it's a good way to see subtle changes and pick
now
up.
you can get even more specific with the overlays, correct?
That's correct. Well, the overlay tools is a good way to sort of orient yourself. So a good one to look at, a lot of people use, is just, to put the road layers in there. And especially like in a situation there where it's a lot of vacant farmland, streets maybe not even exist back in those days. So you can kind of put the current day streets and help orient yourself.
Now, this next feature that you showed us, I think, is amazing. It's let me go back to the compare, and I want to do the side to side.
I think you're on the same years. Okay,
Oh.
there.
Yeah, I want to be on topo. That's why.
Yeah.
So we discover enterprise, let's say, right? And we want to see. Let's just do 2015 since we know that this is a town. You have the measure tool. Explain this.
Yeah, well, the original idea of that is actually, like it says, is to measure. You can get acreage and dimensions of a property. But the cool feature for the metal detectors is, if you notice that first point in that box, it actually gives you a lat and a longitude. So that would tell you precisely where you take your handheld, GPS device and say, hey, that's a good place to start my metal detecting.
And it also tells you got roughly 450 or 750 feet in this instance to the north to give you an idea of what the area you're hunting, which is pretty neat.
Absolutely.
So this is perfect for us because, like we said, if it's bad weather or if it's the off season, we use this tool to research, to find out, where these towns are, find out this kind of stuff to look for things. So
right. That's why, like I said, it was so interesting to know that not even thinking that the metal detector community, when we built the site, but we had our own needs and we had to figure out a way to fill that need. And that's great that your community can use it as well.
Yeah, we just have one of our viewers, Cameron Macer. He said he's used the historic aerials to help locate an old home site, which is a currently empty field. He said it was a very helpful tool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I hadn't thought about the application until recently. We've thought about it over the years, but a lot more so recently. Every week when I put up stuff, I'll go through things that are maybe up in the 50s. We just recently added a bunch of stuff in the 50s in the Arkansas, Missouri area. And I was telling RC earlier that it's crazy to see how many homesteads were there and they're no longer there. So in 2015 or 2016, it's just empty farm field. But back in the 50s, it was a home or multiple homes on the corners of all these little farm roads, and they're no longer around. So I would assume, seeing those things, that's probably the kind of stuff you guys are looking for, I'm assuming.
Now we have somebody ask a question. I know, Brett, this is important to you. Will it always be a free site? That's a question we have from a viewer.
Yes. In fact, I'd like to make the free site even better. I know that we get a lot of complaints about the watermarks and whatnot, and I'll just say we're kind of in transition with that. And Jeff can speak to this, a lot of this, but we essentially have 3 different engines, you could say, in operation right now. We're trying to consolidate it into one. And because of that, we can't fully implement what we would like to do with the watermarks. But I think down the road, hopefully it won't be such a distraction, because we do want to keep it free. We want to, we realize $39 for some people is just too much. But after talking with you guys, I realized actually the metal detecting community is pretty a serious group. So now I understand why we do have subscribers. But I always want to have a free site, so that'll never go away.
What's the difference between is it $39 per month that we're talking about?
Yeah. So,
and the free site, what do you get different?
The biggest advantages of the subscription are you can have a full screen viewer. So especially for someone who was on a handheld device, a tablet or a phone, they could open it up to the full screen on their device. They wouldn't have all the distractions, the advertisements and such on the sides of the viewer. There's also the ability to download. We have a smaller file size download that are utilizing credits on a monthly basis. So you can download those images with the watermarks removed and either print them off in a PDF format or just it's just a JPEG, so you can print it if you want. So I can imagine people maybe want to take it out on the field with them if they're printing those off, or if they want to take their handheld device with them and have a lot less obstructions on the subscription side of the site. I would see those as the major advantages in comparison to the free site. The free site, the watermarks are a little more intense, and the advertisements are on each side of the viewer window.
Now, earlier you talked when we had our initial phone call about some new things that could be coming out, some new additions that you're kind of beta testing right now. Can you guys talk about those things that you're looking to hopefully release soon?
Well, one of them is eventually we'd like to have, like where you were showing the street center lines, we'd like to have actual parcel layers. So you would actually be able to see parcel boundaries and hopefully make it easier for metal detectors to identify the owners and who they need to contact.
Right, that's a big one for us.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys both sent me this, so I know, but tell us some crazy stories about requests or anything that you have. So I'm going to pull this one up. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Or is it the thing falling out of the sky, or what?
Yeah.
We're not really sure what it was, but
well, here's another one first before we go. This is Illinois, and you just showing you how you guys line up the difference between the topos. And I mean, it's just amazing how everything just lines right up. I don't even know how you guys handle that.
Yeah, that's what my guys do. That's what my production staff works on, and it's a lot of work.
And let me get to the next one here. Oh, that's the same one. I'm going to exit out. Bear with me here.
You had some strange people coming, knocking on your doors. I wouldn't
There we
say
go.
strange.
What are we looking at here?
So we got contacted by a customer, and he said that he believes he saw a satellite falling out of the sky in a photo from 1969. Yeah, and when getting in and really looking at it, we can't really tell what it is, but he may not be wrong. It's
because it doesn't show in any other years as well. Right. Hey, RC, this is a chance to kind of also possibly show the difference with the subscription.
Sure.
Do you know if you click on the expand, the little thing below the plus and minus, and make it a full screen viewer, just to see? Hey,
did that go?
Yeah, that worked. Yeah. Now, if you have a really large monitor, that makes a tremendous difference. That's one of the advantages of being a subscriber.
Yeah, so we're not exactly sure what this is, but it looks like it's something falling out of the sky. I mean, we've looked at the photos surrounding it and such, and it doesn't look like a scratch because it doesn't. We see a lot of scratches in film over the years, and usually they don't stop in the middle of the film, and it looks like it's some sort of
It's
something.
got like a trail.
Potentially
Yeah.
trail behind it.
Yeah.
And
So let's
Yeah,
go
and
back.
then-
middle of Utah, middle of nowhere, Utah.
Yeah, and if you look at the aerials, I think the next one in there is like the 1980s, or you'll notice that it's not even there. And
Yeah.
and there's no evidence of it. So it is very unusual.
So let's talk about the pricing for that's imaging, but there's subscriptions here. So you have a monthly and a 6-month membership, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and then the obviously this was designed with the kind of the environmental consultants in mind, just based on the amount of credits and such, and multiple users. We anticipate, most metal detectors are probably individuals and probably wouldn't use the credits necessarily like the enterprise level users would, but it does give you those benefits, as we mentioned before, with the full screen viewer and the watermarks, or as you could see on your view when you had it up earlier, it's a lot less noticeable than what they are on the free site.
So Dave mentioned it earlier. Talk about the time we had some fellas come knock at the door.
Yeah. Some agents.
So it's interesting because we're a small crew and we work in the dark. Most of these guys don't have the lights on at all ever. We work in kind of a cave, and all of a sudden the knock on the door, and we let this guy in, and he's standing there with his gun holstered and his FBI badge, and wanted to talk to historic aerials. Okay, so we let him in, and he started telling us they had some cold case up in the desert just outside of Phoenix area here, or North Scottsdale, that they had been notified by an informant that there may be a guy buried out there. And they were trying to find remnants of a tree that he was telling them that, that's what it was next to or near. And so they were looking through all of our photos. Because in the Phoenix area, we actually acquired a private collection. So we have almost every year, all the way back into the 50s here. And he wanted to go through the imagery and see if he could find that location. And we had to set him up with a little monocle thing and some film, and he started going through it, and we ended up going through with him on the site, but at the time we didn't have a lot of the Phoenix imagery completed, so we had to kind of do a mix of both. But it was interesting. It was a crazy story to think that that's what someone was using our website for, because it was never imagined when we designed this.
Well.
All right, so if they want to visit you and they want to get a subscription, go to historicalaerials.com. And Brett and Jeff are working hard. Or I know Jeff is. I don't know what Brett is during the day.
Spot on.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody found that very interesting. I know a lot of I'm looking on the live comments, and half the people here use your site, so that's good. So hopefully you'll get more coming over, some more metal detector people coming on over and checking out your site.
It's always nice to put a face to a site.
Absolutely. And tell them to contact us as well, because I love hearing stories. I think I'm actually, you guys have almost got me convinced that I'm going to become a metal detector.
There was one question here that I just, from Alan Carpenter. He said, what about old beaches? Will they show up? Like beaches, or like, probably like, maybe used to be watering holes. Maybe do they show up that there was water there maybe in the 50s and then maybe it's gone?
If we have imagery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the goal for us is within the next 2 years, we want to be able to go anywhere in the continental U.S. and take you back at least 40 years, but most likely even 60 years. So, I don't want to have any barren spot, whether it's the most remote area possible. We should have some historic aerial imagery.
All right. Well, we got James calling out for the Father's Day gift. It's a hint. Little subscription. I think that'll be a cool present for any guy detectorist or dad.
I want to
Yeah.
invite anyone that's interested, if they have questions, to contact us either at support@historicareals.com, which is on the site, or I mean, you can call us. We have phones, so we'll answer your questions and walk you through the process. We have no problem doing that.
Yep.
You know, you mentioned that, Brett. It might be kind of cool maybe to partner up and put some stories on your site about people that have used specific locations, and then kind of show the pictures of the location and what they found there. That's kind of a, maybe that's, I don't know, it's kind of a cool idea.
It actually crossed my mind, actually. I was thinking about that last night. It'd be great to have a location and maybe even they have like a video. They could show the videos and show the different stuff that you discovered there. Ideally, that's where we want to go. And we didn't really show it, but we have like atlases and stuff. So those generally even show building footprints, and also show who the occupants were at the time. And at some point, what we'd like to be able to do is not only looking at that, but you can get maybe a street view. So we'll add old historic views of a street view, and also be able to sort that out by use type. So again, we might be thinking about it like our environmental guys. Somebody can go in and search dry cleaners or gas stations, and they can populate where all those are located and find them throughout time. But I'm sure we could also put areas of interest for metal detectors, whether that's old schools or something. So you'd be able to put in a certain kind of a use type, and we would identify all the parcels in history, and you could easily go to those locations. And like you said, another feature could be, if it's already been metal detected, what was found.
Great.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. And again, historicareals.com. Talk to Jeff, talk to Brett. They'll set you up. It's free. But if you want the real goods, easy payment subscriptions, monthly.
And the nice thing is they answer the phone. It wasn't a chat. It was I got Jeff on the line right when I made a phone call. So
all right,
we
guys.
appreciate it.
Thanks. All right, coming up next,
Yes,
saving historical properties from becoming ruins and their haunted occupants. We'll be right back after these words. All right, now we're back. Welcome back, guys, to In the Zone. I'm Dave D. He's RC Dunn. We are now joined, hopefully, by Dan Allen, his organization, STOP, which stands for Saving the Old Properties. Dan has managed to save and rescue, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, 7 amazing historical buildings and homes from their demise.
We're waiting to get him back on. So.
Does he know that he's in the green room? Oh, I see him coming. You're coming up. Hold on a second, Dan.
Are you there, Dan?
We're just waiting for your video to show up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I don't have video. I'm
Did
sorry.
you hit your camera?
I don't have. This is the best I can do right now. Sorry, I can see you, but yeah, you can't see me.
Did you hit your on the bottom of your screen? You see where it says "Stop Cam"?
Yeah, and nothing.
You click on that. So, nothing's working.
Yeah.
Technical man RC, you can't get him in.
I can't get him in. That's on his end, but we can hear him, so we can.
We can hear you.
We can still talk.
And I can see you.
All right.
All right. So Dan, you and your twin brother Rich have, saved some very interesting properties over the last 25 years. You are from Ohio. You spent some time in Indiana and Washington State. When did this idea or passion to save old historical properties come to fruition, and what inspired you to go down this road?
Well, in 1996, the local jail came up for sale. The county jail, Old Blackford County Jail, came up for sale, and we couldn't believe it. There was like 8 people that wanted it. 6 of them wanted to tear it down. One wanted to turn it into apartments, and the other one turned into restaurants where they probably would have had to remove most of the bars and widen the doors. And me and my brother wanted it as is, and we couldn't believe that people wanted to trash it or tear it down. So we put a bid in, not expecting to get it, but we put a bid in because we wanted to keep it as is. And luckily, it was a silent bid, and luckily only one person outbid us. And all he says, he doesn't care a thing about the building. He just wanted the generator in the basement. So we asked him if he would pull his bid, and we gave him the generator. And he did, and we gave him the generator. So luckily, Richard and I were the ones who end up getting it. And we've actually taken the drywall down and exposed, some of the woodwork and dormers, and it's really neat.
What was this jail used for, and how long was it in operation?
Well, we're getting all kinds of dates. I think it appears to be started building in 1876 and was completed in 1878, but it took the full 2 years. And they didn't build it cheaply. They went clear up. We're in kind of northern Michigan, north central. They went clear up into Michigan to get hard enough granite to put for the jail cells. So, this wasn't just something they put together and called it a jail. So this thing will outlive me and my brother, hopefully.
So is that the yard in the back where the kind of the short stone wall going around? Is that where there used to be fenced in for the prisoners to kind of walk around?
Yeah, I think in the 1990s they had to have a recreation area. So that they did just kind of put in, and they put a door out there for it and to pass code. But they did very little updating other than that. So yeah, so that fenced in area in the back was for people to get out and get fresh air. That was a state mandate. That came through.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was back in Indiana, and we were fortunate enough to visit and detect 2 of your other properties, the Randolph Infirmary and the General Stone Mansion, and both amazing places, some really interesting history. Let's start off with the infirmary, or as you call it, the asylum. What drew you to the Randolph Infirmary, and what took place here?
Well, the county luckily still owned it, and so it hadn't been gone through and picked clean. So we noticed that over the years it was slowly running down, and we talked with the county, and they said they were only able to put like 10,000 in it a year, which, if you're counting labor as well, isn't going to take you very far. And that was counting the heating and everything. So we offered to take it off their hands, but so had many other people, and they just didn't want anybody to take it, to get it. They had somebody wanted to turn it into apartments, of course, and then furniture store, and then some kind of like a garage sale type thing. And we came across and said that we wanted to save it as is for movies, for weddings, for whatever people wanted to do, and keep it as is, because most of these old structures are getting turned into apartments, and they claim to have saved the building. But when you got the entire inside, well, that's 50% gone. And then when you actually put ramps and new doors up or whatever.
Now this is a 50,000 square foot building. So what was the initial 58? What's the initial cost on trying to get a property like this? And how do you take care of this enormous property?
The initial cost was based on other properties in the area that sold. So they put a square footage per money per square foot. And when it came out to so much a square foot, then I actually added on 10% because they didn't think it was enough. So I added on 10% for what they were, what it appraised for. And it appraised for like $34,000. And so I added another 10% because they didn't think it was enough. But the looking over the structure, it was still sound. It had gone through a little disrepair, but just barely. I mean, it was just starting.
Do you have any more pictures of the place besides the two?
Yeah, I'm getting them right now.
Yeah, because it's a really cool historical building on the outside. I'm gonna get some other pictures on there. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you see from the air, it's in the shape of a cross, because that's actually the third building on that site. The first building was actually on that site where it's at now, burnt down after 3 years. Well, it's an asylum, it's a poorhouse, it's a combination of a lot of things. Well, you got a lot of mentally ill or mentally slow people walking around with candles and oil lamps and stuff. It's amazing it lasted 3 years because it was all wood. So when it burnt down 3 years after it was built in 1851, they built a brick one right next to it. And back in the day, if you didn't fire the bricks hot enough, they pretty much just deteriorated. And so it lasted about 50 years, and it was just basically just dissolving. The bricks weren't fired hot enough. They were fired on site. And then so they said, well, where can we build this third one at? And they looked back at the old foundation in 1851, still sitting there. So they actually built this one finished in 1899 on the 1851 foundation.
Now, taking care of this, is there any kind of government grants or community involvement to help support the cause and help you restore or the structures that you purchase?
That's what we're looking into. We will. I mean, we've already got the okay. They said yes. Just now we're just waiting for the paperwork. So on our end, we've got accepted for a 501c3 nonprofit, and then we can start filing for those type of grants. The more grants we get, the more properties we can get, and the better we can fix them up. And right now, I mean, a lot of these buildings are not our buildings, but a lot of these buildings we're looking for are in pretty bad shape. And there is a point where they are too far gone. But so we are constantly looking for new places to try to save. But with the grants starting to come in, we haven't got any yet, but once we get the grants to come in, then we can start looking for more places, and I actually hope people can actually tell us of other places.
We're joined by Dann Allen. Obviously, we got some technical difficulties, so you can't see his picture on there. He's got a face for radio, so I'm pretty sure he appreciates that. So I'm just kidding, Dan. So not far from the infirmary is a recent purchase, the Stone Mansion.
Yeah,
it's just a definite architectural wonder. I mean, if you don't say wow when you first see this and you lay eyes on this building, there's something wrong with you. I mean, the detail and craftsmanship is stunning. Now, who was General Stone, and why did he build this home, or should I say mansion?
General Stone started out as a contractor in Ohio around Cincinnati, and then moved to Winchester, and I don't remember why offhand, but got married. And then when the Civil War broke out, he was the supply general. I forget what you actually call that, but he was a supply general for the state of Indiana. And so he was pretty smart, apparently, being a general. And then after the war, he came back and started the bank. Well, he was a contractor to begin with, and then a procurement officer. And so I think he had quite a bit of money. So after the war, he came and started building this house in, I believe, 1865, right after the war. And being the bank president and such, he actually built it pretty impressively. There's 7 or 8 houses to the east of it where he actually went to New York and purchased these houses as a kit in the 1860s, and then brought them back and built them for his carpenters and tradesmen to stay in. So it took like 3 years to build the house. So he had a lot of money, and he knew what he was doing. He got the best carpenters and such. So incredible guy.
We
Now
have
this-
one question real quick. Cameron asks, obviously every old structure can't be saved, so how do you prioritize which properties that you visit that are worthy of a save and restore, and which ones aren't?
Well, we like the historical value. General Stone was a very prominent figure in Randolph County, Indiana. The asylum, many people passed through the asylum. A few famous people and such. So there's a lot of history there. Good or bad, it's still history. So we're looking after historical places or architectural style, that Romanesque or something that's, long gone. And so we're looking for along that lines. So it's not just any house that's so old. It does have to have historical value, either in architecture or people who live there or pass through.
Now the mansion, it's been through the gauntlet of owners. It was even in a restaurant at one time. So who's helping you do this? Is it just you and your brother Rich, or do you have other people helping you restore these?
Yeah, I have a crew of people. I got I don't know, Tim Murphy's, he's big into ghost hunting, and Stan and Kate, and we have Melinda. The list goes on and on. You can look them up at our site. My brother Richard. So we're always looking for people that are actually willing to help, volunteer, and and if they have some trades, that's wonderful. But
you mentioned paranormal.
So what's
the paranormal activity? What do you?
Wait, hold on a second. So to restore it so far, what's your long range plans for the mansion itself?
The long range plan is to restore back to its once great self. Probably around like the turn of the 18th or 19th century or 20th century. Sorry. So a beautiful house. Now there's even actually some like a dormer that's missing, or a cupola missing up on top yet. So trying to return to its former glory, and then at that point rent it out for weddings or events, but something that can keep the structure as is. We don't want to start altering it to make it into apartments or office buildings. No, that's not what we're after. We're after, as I like to say, we alter the people for the building, not not the building for the people.
No, RC, you were bringing up something.
Well, you know, it piqued my interest. So, your paranormal activity in these locations, Dan?
Yeah, you can't help but come across some odd things when you're working in them and such. Like with the jail, a lot of things happened, and word got out, and paranormal people came to us. Wasn't intentionally to do that. We thought maybe make a museum out of the jail since it was the first one. But I saw, it's weird to say, and I usually don't tell anybody but ghost hunters, but I saw an ex-sheriff in the jail who died in 1977, and I saw him in 2002, and I described him to a T, even what he wore. I guess he always wore this when he wasn't on duty, to his niece, and the way he looked, everything. And she goes, "How'd you know all this?" I mean, sparkly blue-gray eyes. I didn't know these policemen, and I guess he died there at the jail in 1977. And his niece, who he practically raised, said, "I described him to a T." And she was like, "Now, how'd you know this?" Because the only picture I ever saw of him later was in full uniform. So how did I know what he wore in?
No.
So
The stories are good, but you know, your eyes. Can you believe your eyes? Now you sent us a photo. I don't know if RC want to put that up. You were fixing gutters.
Yeah.
And you look over, and it looks like people out are actually looking at you.
Doesn't it?
It looks like there's 3 people on the top part of the window, and then maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 people on the bottom part of the window looking at you. Right. And it's almost, it's like as clear as, it's almost like it's a photo was put behind that window. But I've been in this place, and I've took a lot of video, and I haven't talked to you since then, but I believe there was an orb passing a tree. Now I have it on video, and I'll show you. I haven't debunked it yet, so, but I don't have it here with me. But yeah, if that doesn't look like somebody's looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, my hair's standing up right now. What little I have, because I mean, you were taking a photo. You're taking a photo of some downspouts you need to repair, and then, man, do you see that photo?
Now, when did you notice that? After you just took pictures of the gutter and that just came up?
No, believe it or not, when I was downloading them to send it to you, that's the first time I ever noticed it.
Really?
Yeah, and you know, I've always been looking at the gutter, and I've never kind of strayed off of the gutter, because the other picture I show you where the gutter's fixed, I never looked at anything but the gutter, and for some reason, I was just looking around, I guess, to make sure there was nothing odd in the picture, or you know, I wasn't even looking for ghosts at the time. But then I saw that, it's like, who's looking at me? No, I was the only one there that day, or you know, all that time. It took me.
If anybody wants to see what it looks like on the inside and the outside, there's Asanya, XP Sanya's got a new video out, just came out on Sunday. Check it out. She's at the asylum hunting. We also get a tour from Tim inside the asylum. It's just an amazing place. You got to check it out. Now, Dan, you have 2 other properties in Ohio. What are they?
I have one other in Ohio. I have an old school, beautiful old school built in the 1920s with a full gym and stage, and even the auditorium seats are the old wooden theater style seats, and it was built with gas money during the gas boom, so it was very well built, and so it was definitely worth saving this. It's a beautiful building, and it's about 60,000 square feet as well. So a big monster building with beautiful. Most of it's still intact. I mean,
what's the name of the school? Awesome. I'm going to try to bring it up here.
Liberty Township in Ohio City, Ohio. I don't know if we don't have it open yet, so I don't know if there's much literature on it out there yet. But a few people post it here and there. You might find something on YouTube. I've had a few people go through.
Now, you know us detectors, when we see a building or buildings like these, we just salivate. And now I know your brother Rich, he's into metal detecting in the family. Is it not one of the first thing he does after you guys close escrow? Is he just jumps in on the property with his detector?
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah,
No,
I would buy it just for that purpose.
I know. What he does is we get on the roof and start fixing holes right away. And if there's time at the end of the day, he gets out his metal detector, but there never is time at the end of the day.
That's
and
not
he's
even right. That's not
biting at
fair.
the bit to do it. Well, see, in the old schools there as well. So, this is clear back to the probably mid 1850s. So who knows what's there? Yeah. So he's really biting. He wants to do it. And, but first things first. So,
Do you have your eyes at any other historical properties at this point in time?
I do. I don't want to say any place yet, but I do have eyes on a few places. But if people know of other places, we're more than willing to look at them as well. I think people are, until we get the 501c in hand, we've already got our numbers and even got the thumbs up from the state. I think it'll be a lot better to show people, say, here we are legit, we're 501c3, the whole works. So I really haven't gone after them from that angle, but yeah, there's just so many buildings out there that need to be saved. And
now for people that might maybe want to volunteer to help fund your organization, STOP, which stands for Saving the Old Properties, and for the paranormal teams that would like to come to investigate the properties, how can they get in touch with you?
They can call our phone number at 808, or excuse me, prefix 765-808-8730. And they'll talk to Kate about getting into these places. And right now our website will be up shortly, but it's not up fully. But that's the best way to get a hold of us, or you can email us at savingtheoldproperties@gmail.com. Either one will get you in touch with us.
All right, Dan. Well, it's really good to hear from you again. Too bad we couldn't see you today, but hopefully I'll see you again sometime in Indiana.
Yeah, I think I have to hunt some more properties, huh?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if Sonia's going to go back to the infirmary after seeing that photo. She's on the chat, on the comments, and
don't forget to check out Sonia's video. It's you get to see the inside and outside of the infirmary. It's an unbelievable place. All right, Dan, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. That's Dann Allen, and Dan is organization STOP, Saving the Old Properties, and paranormal teams. You're welcome to come. I think there's a small fee, and you could spend the whole night there investigating the place for ghosts. I know they've done it in the mansion, and they've done it in the infirmary and the jail. So you can go there for Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and hit each building at night, 3 nights. It's a great deal.
And see the police officer's been dead for 42 years. That's a little crazy.
Yeah. All right, RC. Great show tonight. Thank you for taking care of all the technical stuff.
We're getting our legs underneath us. It's gonna be a little bit, but I appreciate it. And a lot of good chats and a lot of good people talking on the comment section. And as always, we're looking to bring you some different viewpoints, not just finds after finds. So we appreciate you watching the show.
If you guys out there have any ideas or something you want to see or something you guys want us to talk to, you can email me or RC at XP Team USA, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, check out that. All right. So, RC, thanks to all watching In the Zone.
Go watch Sonia's video.
Yep.
It's amazing.
All right, I'm Dave D. He's RC. Done. Good night, everyone.
See you guys.